Hi, today I want to talk about what it actually feels like to start over in life. When I say start over, I am talking about, from my perspective, of going through an unexpected divorce and then your life changing completely. Like in my case, I went from a stay at home homeschooling mom to a single mom who worked, and I started working as a registered dental assistant. So I was thrown from kind of this protected space of being at home with my kids to and put into a healthcare setting where I had to help patients. I worked in oral surgery for my first job, so that was kind of intense. So you're working with a lot of people who are really stressed out and scared, and you have to help them get through this process. So that's what I went from. And let's add in extreme introvert, very shy, had been basically in my home for 27 years with very little contact with the public. And now I'm going out into the world and, working literally in a hands on job with people. So that was extreme. Um, so, what does that feel like? At first, it was just complete and utter disbelief. You know, it took about 4.5 months before I started my dental assisting education. So those months were like full of trying to navigate what I was even going to do with my life, how I was going to make money, um, navigating the difficulties of the divorce, kids, like all of the things, and then living away from my home, away from my children, having limited time with them each week, whereas before I had been with them 24/7. So there was just that, like, if we want to talk about, you have like the story arc. Somebody's living their normal life, and then something happens, and all of a sudden they're put into a whole different universe, perspective, whatever you want to call it, like in a movie. And that is very much what happened to me. I went from my home to, bam, living in this place I'd never been, in a different city, and no kids to care for, just myself. That was like literally crazy. And then I'm put in this building with a bunch of other women I don't know. And I had to learn to navigate very quickly, navigate um, relationships with other people, living around strangers, all of the things. It was very intense. And then, there was a lot of emotions going on. So it was it was scary, honestly. It was a scary process not to know what my future looked like moment to moment. Like I literally did not know what was going to happen because it took 9 months before I even knew if I was going to have custody of my children, before we went to mediation and there was a resolution. So 9 months of living in, I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know anything about the future, like literally nothing. And honestly, like we all live in that space every day because we don't know how our life could change. But this was like in your face. You don't know because there was no way to know. And so that was scary. And then I went through grief over losing what I thought my future life would look like, grief over not being with my kids all the time, grief over needing to get a job. Like, that sounds really privileged, but the grief of like, I don't know how to interact with people. I don't know how to be around men even. And now all of a sudden I have these male patients I have to care for. Like, it was very confusing. Um, I remember when I signed up for the dental assisting course, and the first day I went, I was so scared. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can work with people. And then, somewhere along the line, um, I got over that and I got more comfortable with the idea. And it was just like, okay, let's make it through this second, this minute, this hour, this day. And we can't worry about anything beyond that. And that's pretty much how I navigated it. So also, I think I mentioned you go over the grief over what you're losing, what's ending, and then also anger that it's changing, anger at who you think caused it, anger at yourself for what you may have done to cause it, just anger at the unfairness, anger at the system, anger. Like, why are my kids taken away? Why did the judge do this? Why? And just anger, like, does this judge know what's happening to my kids because of this? What's happening to my relationship with my little kids because of this? And like, why don't they care? And just the anger of that. And then, some point you move into acceptance of it because you realize I'm just kicking and screaming at a wall that's not moving, not changing. And the only thing I'm doing is hurting myself. And then you realize I'm the one that can change. I'm the one that can grow. I'm the one that can do something different that stops hurting me. And that allows me to help myself, my children, the people around me. So you kind of go into that phase. So day to day, you could go through all of those feelings in one day. Sometimes it was exciting because, wow, now I have this whole future before me. Yes, I never planned for this. I never thought of it. But also, like, wow, the gift of it, the gift of being able to choose my future, the gift of having time to myself where I just have to take care of myself, the gift of being able to just take a drive, listen to music, write, go visit places in the new area that I'm living in. In the midst of all that pain and grief, there was this great gift of freedom and exploration and learning about myself and who I was and what I was made of, and like the growth of my confidence and really getting to know myself. And seeing who I was, things that I never thought I was capable of. Learning all of those things about myself was exciting and interesting. And then it could also be boring, like, okay, I'm just waiting around, waiting to get a job. After I went to my training, it was like a lot of applying for jobs, and I think I only had 3 interviews, and just waiting for people to call me up and ask me to do an interview, waiting to get a job, waiting and wondering if I was ever going to get a job. I graduated my class in July. I actually started applying for jobs before the final day. I had an interview the final week of my class. And then I didn't get a job until September. And that seemed like the longest time. Like, it seemed so long because I need a job. So then when we go to mediation, I can say I make money. I can live, get an apartment, and I can have my children live with me. Like, I had nothing to offer my kids. I was just waiting and waiting and waiting for something to work out so that I could offer myself and my family something. And then, that felt out of control. Like, I felt out of control. My life felt out of control. It just was, sometimes I just felt like it was crazy making. Like, I would just be like, God, what are you doing? Are you even watching me? Do you even see what's happening right now? Like, give me money, give me a house, give me a job. Like, how is this gonna work? So just that feeling as well. And then also the pacing of it. Sometimes everything was going so quickly, and then other times it was so slow. Like when I went to my dental assisting course, it was usually, in the state where I live, it takes about a year to learn all the skills you need to be a dental assistant, to be registered with the state. I went to a 3-week full-time course. So that seemed crazy fast. Like, okay, we just started and now you're a dental assistant. I was like, okay, you're going to let me go out in the world and do this job now? So that was just so fast. And then the slow part of, applying for jobs and waiting for a job, just waiting for housing, and just all of the things. And then the time before I started school, I left in February and I didn't start school until the end of June. And it was just all that time of like waiting for people to call me back, waiting to be signed up for a program so that I could go to school, waiting. And I learned a lot of patience. I learned that I can't make everything happen. I learned to rely on other people. I learned to wait for other people to do their part. There was a lot of growth that year, a lot of growth. And then, sometimes it rolls so fast. Like I said, when I went to the dental assisting course, it was just like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You're done. Here you go. Go get a job. And then, you look back on that time and you're like, wow, that, like, there was actually so much that happened in those 9 months. Even in those weeks and months where it was so slow and nothing was going on, there was a lot happening. Like, I was growing as a person, I was changing, I was making connections, I was learning to be independent, to take care of myself, to become a leader for my children. Like, there was a lot of growth and learning. And then also, like I said, I learned to be patient, and I learned to rely on God for so many things. I learned to let go of my expectations. I learned to trust others, ask for help, seek advice, and work with others as a team. I learned so many things. And then, so, the whole process is starting over, especially if it's unexpected and it just comes out of nowhere. You don't even know like it's coming. It's going to hit you like a truck just wrecked your car, and you're just like, and now you're in a whole different place. There's no roadmap. No one's written out a booklet for you to follow. Nobody has told you, here's step 1, 2, and 3. You're making it up as you go along. You're waiting for it. You don't even know what, like, you don't even know that there are steps. You don't know anything. You're just like, I don't know what's happening right now. And so the process could be a little unsettling. And then, you have the grief and the anger going through it. So you go through all of that, and then there's a bargaining phase as well. At least there was for me. I was like, well, maybe I could go back. Maybe we don't have to get divorced. Maybe we can just be separated for a while. And I'd always end with, that's not true, and you can't do that. And there's actually no bargain you can make. Like, any bargain I tried to come up with, that it didn't work out. Like, I was just telling myself a story, doing a little song and dance, and maybe even it was just a little escapism from my situation. Yeah, there's no bargaining. It's okay to bargain. I mean, that's a process. Like, when you go through a grief process, there's bargaining in there. So it's a natural thing. I think bargaining really leads you to acceptance, because you come up with all these different scenarios, like, well, maybe if this, maybe if that. And you realize as you're going through that bargaining process, you're like, I don't actually want that to happen. Like, I don't actually want to go back. And that leads you to, like, okay, I accept that I'm not going back. I accept that my life is changing. And like I said before, I can either kick the walls till I hurt myself, or I can accept it and move into a calmer place and patience and allowing for change. And that is a much more comfortable place to be. It still is scary, and you still don't have an answer, you move in, you think, okay, I'm going to accept this. Now the answers are going to come. No, they're probably not. You're just going to feel calmer about not knowing what's happening. You're going to feel calmer in the storm and the weirdness and the awkwardness and the in-between place. And, that's good. That is good. And then maybe when you're in that place of acceptance, you can actually enjoy it. I actually got to where I was like, I know something big is happening in my life right now, and I want to observe it. I want to capture this moment so when I look back, I know what it felt like, what it smelled like, what it looked like, what the light was like. I remember one day I was struggling and I went out in the backyard and the grass was really tall. And I would go out there and I would pace a short sidewalk and I would pray or think or talk or to myself or whatever. So I'm pacing that sidewalk and I'm like, hold on. I'm in the middle of this amazing place in my life and I want to remember it. And I took that visual snapshot, like remembering how tall the grass was and it had the seed heads and like, where you touch the seed head and the black pollen or whatever it is rubs off on your fingers, and how the light was and how hot it was, and like what it smelled like. Like I just like I need to capture this moment. This is like a pivotal moment in my life. And so I did that a few times. I would just be like, this is a moment, like, and I would capture it. Like another time I was out working, doing gig work, and I came out of the store and it had started to sprinkle. And the store is in a beautiful place. It was green, it was spring, it was pretty, the birds, all the things. And the rain hit my face and I was like, what is my life right now? Like, what is this? It's just the sense of amazement. Like, I'm free. I'm out at a store, walking out on this beautiful spring day, and I am free. Nobody knows where I am. I have no one to answer to. I'm my own person. I'm doing what I want, and I am free. And that's another moment I've held on to so hard. And sometimes when it is a similar day and it's sprinkling a little bit, I just have that sense of freedom. Like, yes, like it was worth it. I'm free. So that's the whole range. That is what it's like to start over. And so, many people told me what you're going through is going to be someone's roadmap someday. And I was like, I don't want to hear that. Like, this is hard and it sucks. But you know what? I look back and I'm like, it was an amazing time period. And you're starting over phase. Like, it will be inspiring to someone when you tell them what you went through or like how you started over and the things that you overcame to get where you are now. They're going to be like, that's amazing, that's inspiring, and that'll help them when they're going through something someday to know, hey, my friend made it, so can I. And that's something I held on to as well. So it's hard. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, you're so strong, you can do it. I'm going to say it is hard, but you are strong. And what I like to say is, I didn't know how strong I was until I had to be. I didn't even know I had that in me until it had to show up. Like, it was there, just waiting. And when the time was right, it showed up for me. I showed up for me. And then just that acceptance. When you stop fighting the change and you can live in that moment, and not that I live in the moment all the time. It's sometimes a rare occurrence. But when you can live in that acceptance in the moment, it's amazing. So closing thought, starting over doesn't feel inspiring in the moment. It can feel uncertain and it can be very all over the place. But that's what major life changes are like. When we say incredible, that can mean a lot of different things. It's an incredible experience. It's up and it's down and it's all over the place. But your life is changing, and sometimes you just got to hold on to the ride because that's all you can do. So anyway, those are my thoughts on starting over. And I hope that you have a great day and you continue to live in freedom and peace.